Good evening, Tri-Valley. It's 7 o'clock. Can you please join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
of the United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'm going to do roll call. Joe Colon. Just got to say here for this round. Okay. Pat Kelly.
Here.
Brent Clark.
Here.
Kim Botsford.
Here.
Aaron Metnish.
Here.
Randy McGregor.
Here.
Keith Stryker.
Here.
Carrie Ann Poley is here, and we have Superintendent Michael Williams as well. We have no items of correspondence this evening, no public comment session, no presentation or guests, so we're going to go right to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, and welcome to the throngs of people who I'm sure are watching us right now live. It is my pleasure first to congratulate the recent National Honor Society inductees. They recently participated in a virtual induction ceremony. For anybody who's interested in seeing those ceremonies, they are posted on both our Facebook and website page. Of course, this is our first ever virtual induction ceremony, but it's nice that we were able to recognize those students appropriately. And I want to thank Mrs. Sloan for making that happen. Next, winter high-risk sports have been delayed until January 4th. And hot off the presses, it looks like that date might be pushed back until January 19th. A number of Orange County schools have made the decision to close between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which would of course push the date back. It has just come to the Sullivan County Superintendents for approval. I expect it will be approved, which means that the winter high-risk sports seasons will be delayed until January 19th. Regarding closures, there are a number of Orange County schools that have decided to close. However, no Sullivan County school has made that decision as of right now at this meeting. We met last evening virtually, and superintendents agreed that right now is not an option. We plan on being open between the Thanksgiving and Christmas recess. Next, I had a recent meeting with the medical director for Tri-Valley regarding testing protocols should we be a designated yellow zone. Parents may or may not know that the governor has identified a number of cluster zones in New York State. These are smaller zones within larger regions. If a school falls within a yellow zone, and that doesn't mean that the school is necessarily have a high test rate. However, it's in the area that the school may be located. If we are designated as a yellow zone and we wish to remain open, we must test 20% of our population in the first 2 weeks of that designation and have a positivity rate lower than the regional rate. This brings a number of issues to bear, including the fact that all parents would have to get permission to test their children. I'll be sending information home after the Thanksgiving recess for parents, which will detail exactly what our options would be moving forward, so we know how to react should we ever get designated as a yellow zone. I'm also happy to report that the entire administrative team was recently trained virtually on the application of Narcan. For those of you who are not aware, Narcan is the application used for someone who may be suffering an opioid overdose. We all received kits as a result of the training. These kits were provided free of charge, as was the training through Ellenville Hospital. I want to thank Deborah Kelly for arranging that. Of course, we hope we never need to use Narcan on any of our students or staff, but we are trained and have the appropriate materials should that become a necessity. Lastly, for parents, a number of parents have asked questions about the recent closure for the elementary school. I want to explain foremost to parents that closures rarely happen because of a student exposure. In fact, most schools close because of exposures regarding staff members. If a school does not have sufficient staff members on campus to appropriately supervise students, the school usually closes. Now, a parent may ask, well, can't the teacher teach virtually? Yes, the teacher can teach virtually. However, if there are students physically in the building, they are sitting in a classroom, according to their schedule, also receiving virtual instruction. That means that the school is required to place an adult in that room to supervise and to help with the instruction. Depending on the number of staff members who are implicated as a result of contact tracing, that may not be possible. And in the last case regarding the elementary school, that was exactly the case. Because of the number of staff members, teachers, and aides that were implicated in contact tracing, it was impossible for me to keep the elementary school open. So I just want parents to know that while their students are safe in the building, we do have people who go back to their lives, and these positive results are not being transmitted in the building. Rather, they're being transported as people live their lives outside of the school campus, which they are certainly entitled to do. And that is my report. Are there any questions this evening?
No questions?
I have a question, Mike, about what you just said about staffing. Would it be
Yes.
possible to, say it was fourth grade was heavily impacted? I know districts up in the capital region I've seen on some of the things I've read, they'll say the fourth grade is, going virtual. Is it possible to do that? I get the aides are shared amongst different grade levels, so that could be a difficult situation. But if it was really staff-based, if the teacher isn't sick, but they could teach virtually from home, could their classes just go virtually and everybody else still go normally?
I think that is probably something we can discuss and look at. Like you said, it would depend on the schedule and then the staff members that are in the room and which staff members we may lose. Like I said, in this last case, it was pretty widespread between teachers and aides and administration in this case, which made it very difficult to keep the school open. But it's a good suggestion, and we'll certainly do some research on that possibility.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Are there any items the board wishes pulled from tonight's agenda? No? Okay, moving along. I need a motion and a second for the consent agenda.
Motion.
Joe, second Brent. Please proceed to vote by raising your right hand. Yes? Okay, that is 8 yeses, no nos, no abstentions. So that passes, Norma. All right, so moving on to board committee reports. We have several of them this evening. Policy 5300, Code of Conduct Part 1 is a first reading. Then we have Policy 5300, Code of Conduct Part 6, Prohibited Student Conduct is a first reading. Policy 5300, Code of Conduct Part 8 is Reporting Violations is a first reading. And our final policy, 5300 Code of Conduct Part 10, Disciplinary Penalties, Procedures, and Referrals is also a first reading. Next, moving on, Policy 0105, Equity, Inclusivity, and Diversity in Education. Be it resolved, the board reviewed and adopts policy number 0105, Equity, Inclusivity, and Diversity in Education as attached to the public portion of the agenda. I need a motion and a second. Motion, Aaron, second, Kim. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your right hand. Yes? That is unanimous, Norma. Next, regulation number 05 or 0105-R, Equity, Inclusivity, and Diversity in Education. Oh, wait, nope, we just did that one. I apologize. Exhibit 0105E, Equity, Inclusivity, and Diversity in Education, second reading and adoption. Be it resolved. Wait, is this on here multiple times?
No, it's not. No.
It's
One is the regulation. One is the regulation, and one is the
R.
Yeah. The first was the actual regulation. This is the policy. Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's move forward. Be it resolved, the board reviewed and adopts Exhibit 0105E, Equity, Inclusivity, and Diversity in Education as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion, Aaron. Second, Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your right hand. Yes? That is unanimous, Norma. All right. Policy number 0110, discrimination and harassment of employees and certain non-employees. This is for second reading and adoption. Be it resolved, the board reviewed and adopts policy number 0110, discrimination and harassment of employees and certain non-employees as attached to the public portion of the agenda. A motion and a second. Motion Pat, second Aaron. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your right hand. Yes? That is unanimous, Norma. Next, Regulation 0110-R, discrimination and harassment of employees and certain non-employees. Second reading. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts Regulation 0110-R, discrimination and harassment of employees and certain non-employees as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Brent, second Joe. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your right hand. Yes? That is unanimous, Norma. Next, we have policy 0110, formal Title IX complaint procedure. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 0110, formal Title IX complaint procedure as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Kim, second Pat. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your right hand. Yes? That is unanimous, Norma. Next, we have Exhibit 011E, formal Title IX complaint procedure. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts Exhibit 0111E, formal Title IX complaint procedure as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Brent. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your right hand. That is also unanimous, Norma. Next, we have policy 0115, discrimination, harassment, and bullying of students, prevention and intervention. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 0115, discrimination, harassment, and bullying of students, prevention and intervention as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Kim, second Joe. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your hand. That is unanimous, Norma. Next, we have Regulation 0115R, discrimination, harassment, and bullying of students as attached to the public portion of the agenda. I need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your hand. That is also unanimous, Norma. Next, policy 4000, student learning standards and instructional guidelines. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 4000, student learning standards and instructional guidelines as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Brent. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your right hand. That is unanimous, Norma. Next, we have textbook selection and adoption, second reading and adoption. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 4511, textbook selection and adoption as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Kim, second Joe. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your hand. That is unanimous, Norma. Policy 4513, library materials selection. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 4513, library material selection as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Aaron. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your hand. That is unanimous, Norma. Policy 9140-1, staff complaints and grievances. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 9140.1, staff complaints and grievances as attached to the public portion of the agenda. A motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Brent. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your hand. That is unanimous, Norma. All right, next. Regulation 9140.1-R, staff complaints and grievances. Be it resolved, the board reviewed and adopts Regulation 9140.1-R, staff complaints and grievances as attached to the public portion of the agenda. All right, need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Kim. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your hand. That is unanimous, Norma. Policy 9240, recruiting and hiring. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 9240, recruiting and hiring as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Yeah, motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Brent. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your hand. Yes? That is unanimous. Finally, last one, policy 9700, professional learning and staff development. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts policy 9700, professional learning and staff development as attached to the public portion of the agenda. A motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote yes by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank the policy committee. That was 0105 R M.
F.
Got it. All right. Let's do this one now. Regulation number 0105-R, equity, inclusivity, and diversity in education. Be it resolved, the board reviews and adopts regulation 0105-R, equity, inclusivity, and diversity in education as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Motion Joe, second Aaron. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by raising your hand. Okay, that is unanimous, Norma. Aaron, is that all of them? Okay. All right. Policy committee, well done.
They did a
very
great
much.
job. Yeah, they did a great job.
All right. Old business. We have no items of old business, no public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. I think Mr. Williams covered it earlier. Just with the, congratulations to the National Honor Society kids who were recently inducted, and the sports that are still, we'll see what happens.
Holding pattern. Yeah.
All right. New business, the proposed 2021-2022 budget calendar. It was attached to the public portion of the agenda. I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to look at it. That's the standard schedule that we usually use, right?
Yeah, we're scheduled to adopt it at the next meeting formally.
Okay. All right, next, internal audit waiver. This is something we're gonna discuss now. We need a motion and a second to hold off on moving forward with the internal audit for this upcoming school year.
We don't, Carrie, we don't
No.
need to vote on it tonight. We can vote on it at the next meeting. It was really more if the board had questions or we needed a discussion about it.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments, discussion? No? All right. At this point, there's no reason or to go into an executive session. So on behalf of the board, we're going to wish everybody a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Continue to wash your hands, wear your face masks, stay healthy, be well, Tri-Valley. We'll see you soon. All right, that's it, guys. Good night.